Hey everyone, it's Ryan. Today I'm going to be putting together a Oreo cake. So I already have the layers made and the icing made as well. So I really just used like a box cake mix for the chocolate cake. And then I just used like a standard American buttercream recipe. I'll put the recipe for the buttercream in the description below. But yeah, I'm going to be assembling that. And then in another video, I'm going to decorate it with some flowers. All right, so I said this is going to be an Oreo cake. So to start off with, I'm going to do the Oreo icing that's going to go in between the layers. So I do feel like sometimes people think that if you want like a flavored cake, you need to, like the whole thing has to be that flavor. But if you want like a decorated cake with a certain decoration on the outside, a lot of times, like you wouldn't want this Oreo icing to be all over your cake because you would want it to be like a blank canvas on the outside. So that is why I have some Oreo crumbs here and I just used enough icing, the amount that I feel like I will use in between the layers. If I need more, I have more icing. I have more cookie crumbs, so I can add some more in. So I do actually think I'm going to need a little bit more. Make sure I didn't get any on my spatula. I'm going to add a little more of the cookie crumbs. You don't want to add too many of the crumbs because you don't want to dry out the icing. All right, so I have just my little acrylic cake ground here. As I've said in some of my other cake videos, that is not necessary. Just get a cardboard circle if you want to. This I just have because it's reusable, and for video purposes, I don't want to go through a bunch of cardboard rounds. So this is just a 6-inch, I'm pretty sure it was a Devil's Food cake mix. The only thing I did differently from the back of the box was I whipped egg whites. So I used 4 egg whites instead of the 3 whole eggs that it called for. And I whipped those and then I um, just folded those in at the end. So I am using a decent amount of icing here because it's an Oreo cake. You want to make sure that you get that flavor. So whenever I assemble a cake, bottom on the bottom, and then my next one, the top is going to go down. I'm leaning over the top to make sure that it looks aligned, and I'm turning it to do the same. You just want to make sure that your sides are up and down. And you could make a simple syrup to add on top of this as well, just to ensure that your cake is moist. I am not concerned with that because, especially with a box cake mix, you are pretty much guaranteed, unless you overcook it like crazy, that it is going to be a moist cake. So again, make sure that your layers are even. And then this last one is going to go top down as well. So these cake layers are cooled a little bit. I'm going to let it sit for like a minute just so it can help solidify. The coolness from the layers will help solidify the icing a little bit so the cake isn't shifting back and forth whenever I put the crumb coat on. And I do have some cupcakes over here, you'll see. I am going to do some flour cupcakes in a video as well. So check back for that here in probably the next week or so. Okay, so now I'm going to add some more icing to do the crumb coat. And if you aren't super comfortable with crumb coating or icing a cake, go ahead and just sort of smooth the Oreo icing in between the layers so that there's none sticking out, and just put the filled cake in the refrigerator for maybe 10 minutes and then come back and do your crumb coat. Because it is, especially because those cake layers are very soft, it is a little wobbly, but I am going to do my best to get it crumb coated without doing that. The whole point of this, especially with a filling, just an icing filling, is to just seal that in so that whenever you go back to do your outside icing, that you're not getting any Oreo or anything in your outside finish. Okay, so I am trying to be stingy with my icing because I don't want to have to make any more for the flowers or other decoration. So I am going to go ahead and just take some back from the top, scrape it on my bowl, and take this icing and put it down toward the bottom so we can seal in that bottom edge with icing. That helps the cake stick. It also helps make sure that no crumbs that might be toward the bottom, make sure that those don't come out in your finished cake as well. So smooth that out, and then we're going to go in level right off the top. And you want to make sure, everywhere is different. Some places like a rounded top. I do not. So I try to go in and level off the top as square as possible. So that is all we're going to do. I am going to go around the bottom with my spatula just up to the side and try to push any of this icing that was coming out onto the cake board back underneath. And now this is going to go in the refrigerator. I'm going to say for a good 30 minutes, probably an hour, just to ensure that it's all set up. The icing gets nice and hard so that whenever you come back to do your outside icing, that it doesn't shift and none of the icing from the middle comes out. So we'll be back in just a few. All right, so our cake has been in the refrigerator for a few hours now, so it is nice and set up. So I'm gonna put a couple scoops of icing right here on the top. Just work your way down. I like to smooth the top a little bit and then go to the side. Again, if this is the first time you've seen me ice a cake, I probably hold the spatula a little weird from what you're used to seeing, but it is something that I have changed to and it works for me. So this is just how I hold the spatula now. You want to make sure you have enough icing. You can see here where you can see the cake through the icing. So you want to make sure that you put a little bit more on there. Just working our way around. And if you hold your spatula up against the side, like I just was doing, and you sort of go around the cake as if you're trying to smooth it, you'll sort of see where your spatula does not hit the cake. And that's where you'll need to go back in and add a little bit more icing. So we're going to go back up to the top. We're going to hold the spatula flat, make it flat, clean off our spatula. Now we're going to go around the bottom and smooth out that bottom. And then we're going to go back in, holding it perpendicular to our board, and smooth the outside of the cake. So don't press too hard right at first. You're slowly taking icing off. And there we go. So for the top, you're just coming in, leveling that off. So if you were not going to use this as like a decorated cake or something, you could do this outside icing with the Oreos and just have like a speckly Oreo icing on the outside, and that would be perfectly fine. Would be delicious. But because I am going to decorate this cake, I wanted to do the white outside. So I want to make sure and get this as smooth as I can. As your icing sets up, it will become a little harder to work with on the top. So you don't have to be in a hurry to finish icing your cake. But you want to make sure you don't go too slow because it'll really start dragging your icing. So there we go. I'm going to stop there. I am going to take a rag, like I always do, and go around the outside and get that icing off of my cake board. Just helps give it a little more of a finished look. You could also, with the white icing on the outside or even the Oreo buttercream on the outside, you could do like a chocolate ganache and do a ganache over the whole top and dripping down the side. That would be really pretty. But I am just going to pipe. I just have a plain writing tip here. I'm just going to pipe a sort of smooth shell border. Come around here on the side so you can see. Smooth shell border around the side. All right, so there we go. We still have some icing left to make flowers. So that's going to be it for this video. I am going to make flowers to put on top, but that'll be a different video. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. And the Oreo is one of my favorite cake flavors. So hope you enjoyed. Bye.